Tailgate Talk fans, today we're working on the Toyota Tundra. I have a 2005 Toyota Tundra. Got a couple of upgrades here and one fix. The upgrade is a DC Sports tailpipe extension. I'm gonna slap that baby on there and kind of dress up my old rusty ratchet looking tailpipe. And then I also have a leveling kit. I have a two-wheel drive, so it's jacked up in the back and low in the front, and I want to level it out, so I've got this Dyno Fit leveling kit. And then this video is going to be about fixing my tailgate latch. It broke, and hey, you can't do tailgate talk with a broken tailgate, now can you? So this video is going to be about this fix, but be sure to check out these other two videos I've got. So let's get going with the tailgate latch fix. So here we are at the tailgate, and this is going to be really simple, I believe. So first thing you want to do is remove this panel here, and it's going to be held in by these star screws, and I've already removed them all. And so one of the first things you might look at and go say to yourself, oh my gosh, I don't have one of those. You can simply remove those with a hex wrench instead. Now the size you'll need is 5/32. And I don't know if you can see that on there, but it's 5/32. That fits in there just perfectly, and you can remove those. So once you get all those out, sometimes this panel is kind of stuck, and you might need some trim removal tools. And the set I use I don't have handy, but I'll link to that below. And so once you pull that out, you're down to the actual latch itself. And this is pretty simple. You've got a 10 millimeter here. Hopefully you can see that, 10 millimeter here, and 10 millimeter there. And then you've got this connector here and this connector here. And it's pretty simple. All you gotta do is push that, and that's gonna unlock, and then that rod's gonna come out, okay? And then same thing over here. You're gonna push that, and then that rod's gonna come out. So then all we're left to do is remove these bolts with a 10 millimeter ratchet, and I've got that ready. And since I'm filming this by myself today, I'm gonna cut away and get these bolts out of here and get the whole latch out. So if your tailgate latch is broken, it's probably one of two things. It's either these connectors here that go to the rods, and you can see, actually, let me get in a little closer. That one actually is broken, although it was still connected. It is broken. So either one of these two rods. And the other thing is right here where the 10 millimeter bolts are seated in. As you can see, that is severely cracked. And if we come around on this side, it's like cracked, super cracked, and broken off. So this is what it should look like. Should have this seated piece in here that your bolt screws into. And then the other thing we're going to have to do, notice this one has the lock in it. Flip that over. It's got the key lock, and I believe that's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be a matter of removing this retainer clip right here, and then moving the lock over to this one here. Should be pretty simple. Now the next thing you're going to find out is if these are broken right here, if your latch may have just fallen out, and you're left with the bolts still in there. So let's climb underneath, and I'll show you something that you'll want to be looking for. As you can see, there's that broken off piece right there. So it's stuck in there. So what you got to do is put some vice grips on there, is what I've done. Let's go back topside. I'm getting too old for this climbing around. So just clamp down on that, and then you'll definitely want to do this and stabilize it, because this bracket right here is super thin. It's really thin, and you can bend it really easy by not having it stable and just cranking on that. So let me get these loose, and then we'll work on starting to put this thing back together. So here's a minor detail I thought worth showing. As you can see, I got the old lock out, and this is the clip that holds it in. Hopefully you can kind of see the groove that it fits in here. Fits in this groove, and totally hugs this cylinder here. And so it can simply be removed with a couple of screwdrivers. Now I'm working one-handed today, so I'm not even going to attempt to try it, but it's a very simple thing to do. And then once you get the cam lock out, it simply drops into the new hole here. And don't forget to hook your linkage up, and put the new clip back in, and you're good to go with the lock. So I've got the lock kind of held in, the latch kind of held in with my hand. And as you can see here, the point I made earlier, those brackets are very easy to bend. And so you can see it's not lining up. So if I'm gonna have to spend a little time with a pair of pliers or something and get those holes lined up. So just make sure you do that, get it all nice and lined up. Otherwise, your seal around the outside is not gonna be very tight. So here's another little detail I figured out as I was putting this thing in. If you come in real close here, you have this outer gasket, right? It actually has some little pegs here that this gasket needs to be connected to. And that kind of goes all the way around. You got, I believe, 4. You got 4 of those. So before you put this, try to start putting it back in the hole, just make sure the gasket is connected to these pegs. Otherwise, when you get ready to bolt it back in, your gasket is going to be all wonky on the outside of your tailgate. And that kind of defeats the purpose of there being a gasket. If it's not sealing, keeping out water, you're just going to have trouble with this all over again. Tailgate Talk fans, we're about to wrap this up, and I'll give you a couple of pro tips here as we go into the home stretch. But before that, hey, if you learned something or I saved you some time, really appreciate a like and subscribe there. And then also kind of all the tools and pieces and parts I use, I'm going to link to below, so check those out. So last couple of things are, it did take me a good bit more time than I imagined to really get these brackets bent into the shape that I wanted to make sure I get a good clean fitment on the outside. And then also about the fitment, remember this gasket around the whole thing, making sure that stayed into place before I got it tightened down. And then the very last thing, I consider this a pro tip if you've watched to the end, as you can see here, just a tiny bit of grease on that thing right there. That's no good. If I'm gonna, have to take this cover off again and do this all over again, no good. So what I'm gonna do before I button everything back up, I'm gonna put a little shot of multi-purpose grease spray on this thing, and then hopefully that's going to last me the life of this truck anyway. So again, appreciate you joining me, and hope to see you on the tailgate. Take care.